24 years old eating a Velveeta mac and cheese in my 2011 Mazda 2 Sport, and the IRS really looked at me and said, "You're gonna owe $2,456 this year."
How does the IRS know how much I make? And then they won't tell me! I have to figure it out! If I get the amount wrong, I get sent to jail! Take me away!
So I just filed my taxes, right, y'all? I owe $9,000, y'all.
Taxes this year are absolutely out of control. Like, what happened to tax refunds in April? Nobody seems to have been getting them. This year, it feels like everyone conveniently owed thousands of dollars to the IRS. And it's not just income taxes that I'm talking about. We're getting taxed when we earn money, when we spend money, when we save it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. This year, we're living in a full-blown tax economy. Sales tax, property tax, capital gains tax, you name it, there's a tax for it. And while some people are struggling to pay, others are just saying screw it and refusing to pay at all. Now, let me know if you guys also conveniently owed money this year for taxes and didn't get a refund down in the comment section below. Otherwise, let's get right into today's episode. POV, you thought you were going to get a tax refund, but instead owe the government so much money. We're crying. 3.6K? Holy shoot. I've never seen $3,600 owed to the government, especially like working a 9 to 5. Is she gonna try again? You know what's crazy is taxes were due in April. And not only my fiance, but so many people, for whatever reason, owed so much money in taxes. Like, what a coincidence that over the past couple of years we had like stimulus and, refund checks and all these other cool little perks and bonuses. And here we are thinking we're winning, and then tax season comes around. And I know this is several years later, but tax season comes around and boop, somehow everybody conveniently owes taxes. Now, I do know when it comes to 9 to 5, as far as, I haven't worked a 9 to 5 in years now. I'm self-employed, so you don't want to know. You don't want to know what I have to pay in taxes. It would shock you. But I believe on the sheet, the W-2, the W-4, you can either write a 0 or a 1. And one of those means they withhold the taxes. The other means you get your full paycheck and you have to pay taxes at the end of the year. Now, the problem with that is most people have zero self-control and will probably spend all of their money and not save a dime of it. And then when tax season rolls around, they're going to owe a substantial amount to the government and probably end up going on a payment plan. Now, I wanted to read a couple of these comments that people had left on that TikTok because I thought they were quite interesting. Everyone's saying get an accountant, but last year TurboTax told me I owed $6,000. So I went to an accountant and he said I actually owed $8,000. My fiance's used TurboTax in the past and she switched to then an accountant. And there were more fees that the accountant charged compared to doing TurboTax. But then also the second you started adding like other things to TurboTax, it was no longer free or cheap. Once you start adding 1099s, once you start adding like dividend, capital gains forms, it practically costs the same amount to just get an accountant, and you're better off getting a solid accountant. That's not something you want to cheap out on. How is this possible or illegal? I don't understand taxes whatsoever. Please, somebody explain. Right? I would get a second opinion. When I was using TurboTax, it said I owed $7,000, and I was like, there's no way. So I got an accountant, and she got me a refund.
How does the IRS know how much I make? And then they won't tell me! I have to figure it out! Then I have to call people to take away my money. And when I call the people at the freaking tax places, they don't even want it! Yeah, my next availability is like next week, maybe. I don't even really know. I'm begging someone! I'm begging to make an appointment with someone to take away my money! And they're not even taking it! And if I get the amount wrong, I get sent to jail! Take me away! I don't care! Oh my gosh, I don't understand, it just doesn't make sense! It doesn't make sense! You know how much I need to pay you! Just tell me, and I'll pay it!
Oh,
God, what? I don't understand. Like, I don't.
I'm literally crying. Like, I'm in tears. That's hysterical. That is the realest crash out I've ever seen. That is the realest video I have ever seen because it makes so much sense. I have never understood it. There's so many things about taxes I don't understand. For starters, the fact that like you can go work for someone and you sign a bunch of paperwork super quick at a supermarket and it's all good to go and you get your paycheck and they take taxes out, but then now I need to pay a professional afterwards to then figure out how much taxes I owe when they've known how much taxes to take from the beginning. It's not like you have some elaborate, crazy business. Most people have one W-2 form for like 50K or 40K, and that's it. So they should very easily know how much money I should be owing. I don't understand why it's so technical and so confusing. And then, God forbid you get it wrong, you get arrested and you go to jail for tax fraud and evading taxes. It blows my freaking mind. I don't understand. Taxes make no sense to me. Most valid crash out ever. Coming from a tax accountant, this is so real. Literally, you even have tax accountants here agreeing with what she's saying. Actually, if you hire someone to do your taxes and they get the numbers wrong, they go to jail, not you. That is not true. As far as I understand, you are still responsible, and there have been many cases of celebrities where their accountants have messed up purposely, and they get held liable. I think it happened to Steve Harvey and a couple other people. So I don't believe that is true at all. It is maybe they might share some responsibility, but certainly you are held just as liable. I think when you sign the paperwork, it says that you are responsible and they are just there to help guide you, if that makes sense. America is so weird. Why do they make it so hard for people? Yeah, that's a great question. You know, how is it like in other countries? How do taxes work in other countries? Very interesting.
When I tell y'all I'm fucking pissed, I need to tell y'all what the fuck just happened. So I just filed my taxes, right, y'all? And last year was the first time me really making money from TikTok and shit. So I filed my fucking taxes, right? And y'all, I got a kids meal today because I can't afford shit after that. I got a kids meal.
We just made a video, and we're going to be making videos on talking about this fast food insanity. Why people think that ordering fast food is cheaper than buying groceries makes no sense. I guess, maybe I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, that up front, the $10 it would cost to get a Happy Meal is cheaper than what would cost to get groceries. Maybe it would cost like $20 to get groceries, but the groceries will give you, 10 meals, while that would give you one. You know what I'm saying? Like that, the groceries will give you several more meals than the one meal you get for groceries. So in the long run, eating fast food is going to be more costly than just making your own food.
I can't afford shit after that. Because why the fuck did they just tell me I owe $9,000, y'all? Who the fuck paying that? Y'all gonna have to get that shit back in blood because I don't know who the fuck about to pay that. She talking about some, we can put you on a payment plan. We could do this. Payment plan? What the fuck? Give me the bottle. This will be drunk tonight. We drinking this tonight because what the fuck do you mean? Oh, I owe that. Me? Ray Sean. But it's okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put that shit on a credit card, and then I'm gonna get the cash back from the credit card, and I'm gonna pay that shit off. But I did learn a lot from this shit. If you got an LLC, you lucky. I had an LLC, but guess what? I did the thing the fucking wrong way. So that's why I owe so fucking much. It was the self-employment fucking tax.
Yep.
But now I know better for next year, and now I'm about to pay my shit quarterly because I'm not dealing with this shit again. Tonight, we drink. I'm done.
Oh boy, lots to discuss with that one. I am currently self-employed. For those that don't know, I have been for several years now, and I have to do what he is currently learning. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize that when you do these companies like Uber Eats, DoorDash, and probably so many more of these like third-party middleman dog walking apps, handyman apps, you are paid as a 1099. You are paid all the money up front. TikTok, for example, YouTube, for example, if you do this and make money from them, they do not take taxes out. They give you a 1099. They give you the money, direct deposit in your bank, and it is your responsibility to pay taxes on it. See, the problem here is I don't think many people know that. When they go do DoorDash or they go do Uber Eats, Grubhub, Lyft, whatever it is, I don't think I truly believe the overwhelming majority of people have no idea that they are meant to pay those taxes at the end of the year. And then they get screwed like he is currently experiencing. And it's a shame why nobody goes over this in school. I really think in high school, college, definitely high school, we should be going over this, especially since these 1099 jobs are becoming so common now. DoorDash, Uber Eats, all these things, everybody's doing it. And nobody knows that you have to pay taxes on it afterwards here. The problem I see is all these people do not save the money. They spend all the money to live off of, paycheck to paycheck. When it comes to tax season time, they have a fat bill they owe to the IRS. They can't pay it. They get on a payment plan. And I'll give you a real world example of this. I had to pay a lot of money in self-employment tax the first year I started my YouTube career because I didn't know about the whole LLC stuff until I hired an accountant and started learning about all this stuff. When you are self-employed and don't have an S Corp or an LLC, you are responsible for paying a lot more money with self-employment tax as well as federal tax, state tax, so many taxes. Eventually, you can open an LLC or an S Corp and you can reduce the amount of taxes. I don't know enough about getting into all this stuff. My accountant knows a lot more. That's why I hire him and I pay good money to make sure that my taxes are filed right. That's something you guys should not cheap out on.
How did we go from fighting a revolution over a 2% tax on a breakfast beverage to what we pay today? We're taxed on money when we receive it, when we spend it, when we invest it, and even when we die with it. We commute to work to make that money in a car that is taxed again to register on roads we're already taxed to build, fueled by gas that is taxed even further. And then when you get to your office that is taxed to exist, you are paid a paycheck that the corporation must match another payroll tax on top of what they have to pay you. Then you go to a home of which you are taxed to own every single year that we bought with money that the government already taxed us on. But it wasn't always like this. In fact, in 1895, the Supreme Court ruled any federal taxes against its citizens were unconstitutional. So the government did what the government does best. It protected and expanded itself by passing the 16th Amendment. Basically, the government gave us the middle finger and gave themselves the power to basically do whatever they want. People back then were more angry about that 1% tax rate than we are about our 37% tax rate today. That is the power of creeping gradualism of government that I'm always warning you guys about.
I'll give you a couple pointers and a couple tips. The first thing, believe it or not, is the 9-to-5er, the one that works for a W-2 paycheck, pays the most taxes. If you are self-employed, even though I'm going to be paying a crap load in taxes this year, but if you are self-employed, you have a lot more freedom and flexibility to work with a lot of your numbers. For example, a W-2 employee, one that works a 9-to-5, gets, let's say, a $70,000 salary. They get their taxes taken out. They're left with, $45,000, and then they buy all their necessities. Me, I get $70,000. I can then go write off my computer, my car, my gas for the car for business stuff, my phone bill, utility bills, part of my rent. So I can lower my gross from 70 down to 40 and then get taxed on 40. And even though we made the same amount of money on paper as a W-2 and a self-employed person, I'll pay less money and have more in my bank account than somebody working a W-2.
I owe so much in fucking taxes, y'all. Last year, I worked 3 jobs, so let's talk about how much I owe in taxes since it's a lot and I'm a little overwhelmed, a little sad. Actually, I'm not a little sad, I'm very sad. It's hitting me right now because I was driving home and I thought about it. I'm like, so last year I made, just to be sure, $71,808. Now, with my 2 jobs, I've already been taxed from that, right? So I work at Aldi and Walmart. With social media, though, I have not been taxed on that yet, and I made almost 20 grand from just social media. With that being said, after all the write-offs that my guy Jerry was doing for me, which he came in clutch, such as write-offs on like mileage, my phone, filming equipment, tripod, ring lights, I still owe $7,034, and that's just the price you pay when you do social media, since you don't get taxed until the end of the year, unfortunately. The person I went to is Jerry. He charged me $80, and he is in Westminster. If you want the specifics, just DM me. But I'm a little sad, so I'm gonna go eat some ice cream and cry about it, y'all.
And again, here's the thing, because she's self-employed and doesn't have an LLC at this moment, an S corporation, she has to pay even more taxes on that money than per se I would if I made the $20,000, because there are many different ways to play the system legally to save lots of money. Payroll, 401ks, write-offs, deductions, not paying self-employed tax, lots of different things you can do here. $7,000 on $20,000 is insane. We need to do something. This is unsustainable here. Why is everyone paying taxes this year? I'm so confused. Right? That is what I am saying. It feels like everyone owes money for 2024, and I'm sure there is something nefarious going on with the government. That's why you're supposed to save around 30% of your social media checks for taxes. I'm sorry, girl. Yeah, it's a harsh wake-up call and a reality check for a lot of people, and it's not just because of social media checks. Like I said before, it's all of those middleman service providers, Uber Eats, Grubhub, Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, all those apps that are like service for hire stuff are paying you 1099s, and if you're not careful, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble.
Hot girls don't get tax refunds. Did you know that when you get a big tax refund at the end of the year, you just gave the government a 0% loan? You're like, hey, bestie, do you know what you guys need? A 0% loan from me instead of me being able to use my own money. We're going to adjust your W-4 form to where you're getting that money on your paycheck now instead of that money later. So when you get a tax refund, it's not the government being like, bonus, babe, here's money. It's your money that the government just used, took off your paycheck and held on to, and then gave back to you. So when you get that money sooner, then you can pay off your debt sooner. You can save more. You can invest sooner and be earning money, using your money to earn money. That's what Hot Girls do. We talked more about the strategy in our Wealthy Girls Club report this month, and it's one of my favorite things to talk about because hot girls don't get tax refunds.
See, she's got a lot of valid points, and the problem is most people are very emotional creatures with zero self-control and are not going to be able to save that money to pay it back to the government. But analytically, mathematically speaking, that makes the most sense. Like, I like having my money up front, my 1099, because if you give the government money and then you get a tax refund, that means they took too much from you. And I also think there's this whole fallacy of groupthink where people think they live for their tax refund. I used to do it when I was very young, 15, 16, 17, when I first started working. I looked forward to that year getting that big tax refund. I thought it was free money because that's what it felt like. It's not. In hindsight, as you get older, that's money the government overcharged you for that they've been using the entire year, not charging you any interest when you could have used that money and made interest yourself, because then they just give it back for free, which is ridiculous. But in summary, the overwhelming majority of people should not be doing this because they have zero self-control, zero impulse control, and will blow all their money and then have to get on a payment plan for the IRS to pay it back.
Everybody wants a big old mom car until you got to pay personal property taxes on that thing, okay?
Okay. Go back and watch her video to get the context of what I'm trying to say here. So basically, this lady lives in the state of Virginia, and she pays a personal property tax on her vehicle every year, which, if I remember correctly, it's a Yukon of some sorts. So a big mom car. Her personal property tax on her car is $1,634.43. For as long as she owns the car.
Oh my gosh.
She will have to pay this yearly property tax. This is in addition to her yearly registration fee. So for reference, I'm in the state of Texas, and I know that there are people that always complain about our high property taxes. And I agree. I'm not saying that they're cheap. I pay approximately $7,500 a year for my approximately valued $400,000 house. I live in the city of Burleson, definitely one of the higher tax valued homes in Johnson County. I don't like paying it, but it is what it is. I ain't moving, so I'll just pay it. But anyway, so a lot of people are complaining about our high property taxes for our homes. But at the end of the day, does it all just kind of balance out? Like, yes. I'm not paying $1,634 in personal property tax in my car. If I was just kind of watching this and scrolling, I'd probably be like, is that real? Is she being real? But actually, my son and daughter-in-law both live in the state of Virginia. Now, my son is military, so he is technically still a resident of the state of Texas, which benefits him because he's not paying any state income tax out of his check. But my daughter-in-law has told me before this is in fact a thing. She does pay her yearly property tax on her vehicle every year. But like I was saying a minute ago, at the end of the day, does it all just balance out? We're not paying state income tax. We're not paying personal property taxes on our car every year. I don't know. Thoughts? Anybody else out there have weird things that they have to pay every year?
She brings up a lot of valid points. And I was like today years old when I found out that there are states that charge you personal property tax every year on your car. I just recently started looking into moving out of the state of Florida. I'm looking into Charlotte, North Carolina now, or South Carolina, somewhere near Charlotte, but right on the border, somewhere over there. And I found out that they charge personal property tax. I think both of the Carolinas charge personal property tax on their cars, but it is a give and take, and it does even out. The reason I moved to Florida to begin with was to avoid paying the 6.5% state tax that New York charges. And even though I am still winning and beating that, Florida makes up for it in some way, shape, or form. For example, the rent here has increased substantially. And the insurance I have to pay to insure my vehicles with no accidents. Cars are fully paid off. One of my cars is 10 years old, and I still pay like $1,500 a year for it in insurance, and it's not even full coverage, is insane. So yes, even though in Charlotte I might be paying personal property tax every year, the insurance on cars in the Carolinas is dirt cheap. The property tax on houses is dirt cheap. Florida, the insurance for flood insurance and homeowners insurance is atrocious. So unless you're living in the middle of nowhere, it all kind of evens out. We have property tax here in North Carolina. This is literally what I just said. But to make matters worse, I live on the borderline of two cities. So my address is listed as one city, and I'm in the city limits of the other city. So I have to pay property taxes on my car for both cities and the county as well. Talk about a ripoff. I was pissed when I found that out. Wow. I did not know that. Remind me not to live on the border. That's insane. I live in Connecticut, and we pay property taxes on our cars every year in July. I had no idea that exists. I think Jersey, New York, and Connecticut are so expensive to live in. It absolutely sucks. Luckily, I paid off my car, but damn, the stupid annual car taxes piss me off. South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, that I know of have personal property taxes on cars due every year on top of the registration fee. Ugh.
How do you owe so many taxes?
So when I do my tax form, I usually put single and 9 dependents.
9 dependents?
Yeah, single and 5 dependents.
You got audited?
Wait,
no, never got.
He went from 9 dependents to 5 dependents. What?
Are you single and do you have 5 dependents?
No.
How many dependents do you have?
None.
Okay, why? Why'd you say that?
I don't know. I feel like I work really hard for my money.
Yeah.
And just giving it to the government, it just really...
Nobody likes it.
But I never got audited, just got letters that you owe this kind of money. I called the IRS. I made it.
Hate to break it to you, buddy. If you got letters from the IRS, that means you got audited.
With them, and I'm making monthly payments on.
So he's just straight up admitting to tax fraud. Yeah, IRS is on the way. Seriously. Don't do this, guys. I have heard of people, and I do know of people that haven't paid or filed their taxes in years, and they think it's totally fine. And yeah, maybe they've gotten away with it for a couple of years, but once, they land on you and decide to check you out, you're going to be in for a whole world of hurt. Let's just say that.
It's time to pay my taxes, and I know it's going to be brutal this year, so come along with me to see how much I had to pay. I have a lot of different jobs and side hustles, and I made the most money of my life last year. Good news is, a good bit of my side hustles and jobs already have taxes taken out of them. I already have taxes taken out throughout the year from my financial coaching job, my job as a crisis hotline counselor, and even as a dancer, I have to declare the tips that I earn at the end of the month when I clock out. And unfortunately, some of my biggest income streams do not have taxes taken out, like social media or doing OF, if you know, you know. That's where I end up owing a lot of money. I hold on to all my business expenses to use as write-offs. So for social media last year, my trip to London, I was able to use the flight, and I even used the afternoon tea that I did as a business expense. Oh my god, do you guys remember the afternoon tea? That was so fun. And then for my work on OF, basically I use all of my living expenses as tax write-offs. Because I make content in my apartment, essentially my apartment is my workspace. So I get to use things like my rent, electricity, and internet as write-offs. Before I head over to do my taxes, I just calculate everything and make sure I have all of my expenses calculated and organized and ready to go for my tax lady. I owed about $2,200 last year, and I know this year's gonna be way more. I did bring them some cookies. I bought these cookies for a work thing last week, and we had some left over, so I thought it would be nice to bring them some cookies to say thank you, because I know my situation is very complex. Then anyways, I am packed up and ready to go. My heart is racing. I'm so nervous to see how much I'm gonna owe. So upon arrival, I give them the cookies as a big thank you, and I apologize profusely because I know I'm gonna be a very complicated person with my taxes. They said they rarely work with anyone who makes money through social media, so I felt kind of special. And without further ado, it is time for the taxes to begin. So she was inputting all of my numbers from all of my different income streams. She even let me film because I told her I do social media content, so that was so nice of her. She was great. She was really helpful, asking a lot of questions just so I could explain certain expenses. At the end of the day, it was pretty bad, and I owed $6,692.
That's it?
It's so funny because she set me up on a payment plan, and I was like, oh no, don't worry, I could pay it in full right now. This is exactly why I save my money and live frugal. For one, because I know I typically owe a lot of taxes every year, but it's such a good feeling to know, even though I owe almost $7,000 in taxes, that I have the money and I can afford to pay it, and I'm not stressed about it. Thanks for watching.
You guys don't even want to know the amount of money I've had to pay in taxes in the past. Let's just say I have had to pay a very nice salary, like somebody's 9-to-5 salary. It hurt a lot, but I save a lot of my money and I invest a lot of my money so I can afford to pay that off and not get on a payment plan. But I love, aside from some of his interesting ways of making money, I love all the side hustles. I love the fact that he makes good money online, and you certainly can. But it's excellent. And answer his question, how much money did you owe in taxes last year? I'm curious, what did you have to pay? I think it was in April, so what did you pay? It was just a couple months ago.
How the fuck do I owe the government money in taxes if I've been paying fucking taxes all year long? Bitch, my paychecks are this fucking big. What do you mean, you need more money? I don't have any. It's all gone, you took it.
That's what I want to know too. Especially if you owe money and you've been paying it every year. That part I never understood, because most of the time either you owe to the state, but then you get money from the Fed, so then it evens out. Like, why was I not paying the state enough money? Like, I should be at the bare minimum getting money back or not getting anything, not owing money. That makes no sense to me.
How much are you guys paying for your taxes? Or how much are you getting in return? Because me? I'm 24 years old eating a Velveeta mac and cheese in my 2011 Mazda 2 Sport, and the IRS really looked at me and said, you've made enough money this year. You're gonna owe $2,456 this year. $2,456? Just for some context, I made $28,000 on my regular job, and then I made $7,000 on my 1099.
That's where it is.
Which is TikTok videos.
That's where it is.
Which is a grand total of what? $34,000. I made $34,000 and they're charging me $2,456. And after spending 3 hours of entering my $3,000 worth of deductions, I still owed $1,500 total. As a 24-year-old who made $34,000, who has about $14,000 in student loans, $1,500. I hope your tax season was better than mine.
It's because all the money is coming from 1099s. This is what I am saying. So many people have no idea how that side of business works. And then when it comes to tax season, they owe a lot of money. And I don't blame them for not understanding. Again, school doesn't teach you, which pisses me off, especially in today's day and age where you can make money online very easily. Like I said, so you sign into an app, you do Grubhub, you do Uber Eats, you have an account in 30 seconds, you start getting paid immediately. You're a 1099 freelance employee. Same thing with TikTok, same thing with YouTube, same thing with Instagram. And I believe the cutoff is if you make over like $600, it might have been changed now. I don't know the tax laws. You owe money on it. You have to claim it. And then when you're not in an LLC and then when you don't have an LLC or an S Corp, you have to pay even more taxes because you're considered self-employed.
I owe the government $30,000 for my small business this year. And it literally makes me sick to my stomach because I'm the one with stress and that can't sleep and with chest pains. And I do it all myself. And yes, I make sure I have the write-offs, but I'm in year 5 and I don't have any more fucking write-offs anymore. Next would be land in a pole barn. So this question is for all my small business owners. What are some expenses you take for taxes to get that lower? Yeah, any insight? Obviously, I know we're not tax professionals, but like I got it all. I got the camera, the computer, the truck, the trailers, the house remodel. I did it all. I don't have anything else. Take a deep breath. So yeah, if you want to support small, check out my business, Northern Ties. It's done out of my basement. I screen print and I don't embroider anymore, but I'm used to saying that because I sold my embroidery machine this year, so now I even owe more taxes. And the Valentine's collection and crew necks are all on sale right now. Mystery bags are back. Clearance over in clearance. Hot, hot, hot. What else? Love you guys.
Well, let's just say it's a very good problem to have, and it's hysterical because I just was having this conversation with my accountant legit yesterday for an hour and a half. I'm actually late on my schedule working because my conversation with him went too long. It is a good problem to have to have too much money. But yeah, that's the case. And we were discussing ways of also getting more expenses. But, when you work a job like this, social media, and I don't have, specifically in this way, where I don't have to buy a lot of things to make the content, it's very difficult to find ways to write things off. But, I'd rather owe money and have more money than have nothing at the end of the year. You know what I'm saying? So it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have. But again, I already have my laptop. I already have my cell phone. I already have my microphone. I already have my camera. I already have my ring light. I already have my desk. I don't have any more write-offs. I could keep upgrading the stuff, but if you don't need it, there's kind of no reason to spend the money. But the reason people talk about it is because you get a very large tax deduction and savings. Like, let's say the laptop is $1,000 and I buy it. I'm saving it, depending on your tax bracket, let's say 30%. So the laptop is only going to cost me $700 because I get to write it off. Yeah, I pay $1,000 up front, but after we do taxes, it's like it only cost me $700. It's insane. So that is going to be it for today's episode, guys. Definitely make sure to smash that like button, turn on post notifications, subscribe. Let me know how much money you owe or your thoughts on taxes down in the comment section below. And if you haven't seen my episode on how to save and invest a lot of money, then definitely make sure to check it out right after this. Peace.